face, baby. Yeah, I bust down, Tatiana. Yeah, I want to see you bust down. Bust down, Tatiana. Bust down, Tatiana. I wanna see you bust down, pick it up, now break that shit down, break it down, speed it up, now slow that shit down on the gang, slow it down, bust it, bust down, bust it, bust it, bust down on the gang, bust down, Tatiana, bust down, Tatiana. I wanna see you bust down, pick it up, now break that shit down, break it down, speed it up, now slow that shit down on the gang, slow it down, bust it, bust down, bust it, bust it, bust down on the gang, blue face, baby. Yeah, I'm everyone's fantasy. Mama always told me I was gonna break hearts. I guess her fault, stupid. Don't be mad at me, be mad at me. I wanna see you bust down, bust down. Bend that shit over on the gang. Yeah, make that shit clap. She threw it back, so I had to double on the gang, smacking her.
What is good?
I tried to tell myself 2 times, but none. Then the nigga relapsed on the dead lows. Ain't no running stops beyond. You gonna take
Forrest, Fanning. Love this song so much. What's good?
What's up, bro?
We're live. What's good? What's good? How we doing, peeps?
Where our homies at?
Hey, by the way, guys, Desiree's on one right now. She's fucking been just going in on me, so just be ready for some Kevin McCurley type action here.
Yeah, we had a rough day at the office. It was my day off, and I had to come in. So,
and we had to start a different time than what we agreed on. No big deal.
Because
I think you put it on the internet's wrong.
What in the hell is the internet?
The confirmation for us was the fact that Marshall agreed with
30.
us. That he was like, yeah, 6:30 Central Time, which is right now. I'm just like, oh yeah. Well,
what's going on, everybody? Sorry about my team.
Me.
Welcome to everybody who's tuning in right now, man. Shout out to everybody in the comments and everyone who's tapping in right now. This is going to be a very special episode for sure. We got somebody super heavy in the house. Looking forward to speaking with him. I know the crew is as well. Shout out to Desiree for delegating this one as well. So good job, Des. Before we get started, if you support the channel in any way, please give us a subscribe. Hit us a like, comment, an email. Do any of that kind of feedback stuff. We'd appreciate it. Shout out to Cold Blooded Cafe, www.coldbloodedcafe.com. Freshest and the bestest, rodents you can get delivered to your doorstep. Perfect. Steven's doing a over there, so good with that. Keep it.
You're cutting out really bad.
I'm cutting out.
How's your internet?
Internet's fine. Am I cutting out?
Yeah, it's like like this, can't. It's not working.
Is it still happening?
I don't know. Keep talking.
Okay, listen, Desiree's being very annoying today, but she's still a really good friend to me, and we're gonna just write it out. And if she wants to talk shit, it is what it is.
We're good now.
Okay, cool. I don't have anything else to say. I'm sorry.
I'll try to be nice to MJ.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm good. I'm super groggy and cranky. I had a little nap from today because I went ham yesterday with Brian Cusco on the Trap Talk with MJ. Shout out to everyone who tuned in and got super wasted with us. Yeah, it was nuts. But feeling good, man. I'm ready to go now. Ready to rock. What do you guys know about this guest, though, before we bring him in? I mean, what's up? What do you guys know about this guy?
Chondro legend.
Man, what don't you know about this guest?
I'm asking. Yeah. I know what I know about. I'm asking what you know.
All pythons, Amazons, albino green tree pythons, like based in Northern Crosses. Like
he was part of the original Chondro Coalition. He's in some books, The Complete Chondro, I believe.
I heard even albino chondros are in this conversation, possibly too.
Yeah, he's the man.
He is the man, and he is Marcial Mendez. What is up, Marshall?
What's up? What's up, YouTube?
Yeah.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast, man. Marcial Mendez from Red Mountain Herps. I like that shirt. Is that one of your shirts?
It is. Yeah, check it out.
Oh man, I need to get me one of those. I like that. You actually have a website on your Instagram in the bio. Is that correct?
For the t-shirts, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll put that link in the description if you want to cop a Red Mountain Herp. Man, what's on, Marshall? How's everything going, bro?
Just, trying to stay COVID free over here.
Anti-COVID. That's good. I know you're central, but what state are you in, Marshall?
I'm in Alabama.
Alabama. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys, what's
It's
weather?
not. It's not that awesome, but but go ahead.
Yeah. I was thinking. I've been to a lot of states. I haven't been to Alabama, but I know Alabama has crazy ass swampy weather, right? Or am I tripping?
Oh yeah. We got crazy weather.
Yeah. Anyways, man. So for the people who don't kind of know what it is that you do as far as with reptiles, kind of give us a little background if you don't mind, Marshall.
Sure. Yeah. I started with reptiles when I was a kid, like most people who are probably listening. And had them all, growing up. Never was, would catch them outside. And my parents, fortunately, were pretty supportive and let me have, pretty much whatever I wanted, as long as it wasn't venomous or, dangerous. So, no, yeah, had them all growing up. And then there was a short period when I was in college where I didn't have any reptiles. And then as soon as I graduated, I started the collection that I have now. So got back with green tree pythons have always been my favorite. And, kind of started a small collection right when I got out of school and have been working with them since 98. Yeah. So, for the first, I don't know, probably 10 or so years, once I got back into the hobby, I had chondros pretty much exclusively, maybe a couple emeralds. But then, maybe 10 years or so ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that now, started getting into ball pythons a little bit. And, now I've just got a whole mishmash of stuff. I don't know, 7 or 8 species, mainly chondros, emeralds, and ball pythons. And then a pair of this, pair of that, a couple colubrids. So
I have ultramil just screaming in my brain right now, but we'll get there.
yeah.
Ultra. But, all right, so the ball pythons, right? That's funny. That not too many people do I hear start into chondros and get into ball pythons. That's really noble of you. It's really like the other way around. You get into ball pythons and then it dips into green trees, like me and Steven over here. But that what was it? What made you say, hey, look, maybe I could get into ball pythons, or what directed you in that avenue?
Man, I like them is the first thing. I like the idea of making morphs and trying to be, first person to make something, or just to make something really cool. Otherwise they're fairly, they're cool snakes, man. They get pretty good size on them. And, obviously the morphs are just, unbelievable, and the possibilities are endless. And,
yep.
That's kind of what attracted me to them,
And then, so what was your first, as far as getting into ball pythons? Do you mind telling us who the breeder was, or where did you get your first pair from? Did you go heavy right into it, or was it?
No, I kind of eased into it. I was into it for maybe 3 or 4 years. I actually got my first one from Rico Walder. He gave me a het pied male, and that's pretty much what started it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just a het pied male. No, I don't have that one. I sold it a long time ago. But I got into him for a couple years, and then was pretty successful with him, and saw that that's the way that large part of the reptile hobby or industry was going. And I liked them, and said, fuck it, I'm gonna go big, and then bought 3.4 ultramils, I think. And that was my favorite morph. I think that was back in 2010 or 11. That was the biggest check I'd ever written for a snake, or for some snakes. And just decided to focus on them.
2011 for ultramils. There's no way that could have been close to cheap. That must have been nuts.
What he said. Biggest check he ever wrote for a snake.
That is nuts. So, okay. Let's go ahead and let's trace back into the chondros then.
Shit.
You kind of know that ball pythons came after the chondros. You said you went to college, then you got back into chondros. What was the first locality?
Yeah.
What was the first locality pair you picked up, or what locality did you start with?
No, I didn't really start with I knew right away I wanted to mix the localities up. So everything that I bought, well, that's not true. I think probably like when I first started buying neonates, I bought about half locality stuff and half designer stuff. And that was kind of the, foundation of what I built the collection that I have now on, was kind of mixing and matching.
All right, Steven.
Hmm?
Yep. Okay, I'll keep talking. I could keep going, but they complain that I talk too much. So I'm gonna keep going then. So okay, what's the favorite locality as far as pairing wise? I mean, is there a certain locality that?
Yeah, I mean, BOX are great. BOX are awesome. Congrats on your clutch today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, MJ.
Thanks, man.
That's
I
good.
got love from everybody but those two over there. It's crazy how that worked, huh?
I support you fully.
It's like the fucking brother and sister I wish I never had. No,
BOX are great. Maruki is awesome. I like Maruki because that's what kind of the albino line is founded on. Yeah. And I don't know if my male Versace, that kind of is he's my 100% het male. I've had him. He's an 01 animal, I think. So he's 17 years old now. Yeah. And if he ends up having babies this year, this will be like the 15th year he's produced or something like that. Something crazy. He's just been a great breeder, just super cool, laid back snake. He's not super crazy looking right now, just he's so old, he's gone through phases from when he was a baby, and it may last a year or 2 years, but there was just, he went through a wild color change to get to where he is now.
Who's this?
That's one of his daughters, actually. Yeah. Wow. She doesn't have a name, but I just moved up my sub-adults into their final, adult caging. That was one of them.
So what would Versace's daughter name be if we could name Versace's daughter? I mean, that thing is crazy looking snake. It'd have to be something designer. I mean, I'm looking at
I was just gonna say he's the only snake that I've ever named. For the most part, I had a couple. Maybe my first 2 or 3 had names, but in the last, haven't named another one since him. It's all ID numbers.
Wow. Let's take it back a little further here. Look at young Marcial right here. Were you a herper back in your young days? Like, did you like going out looking for snakes? Was that, or were you just?
I wasn't like I wasn't an herper. I'd catch, if I saw something in the backyard, I'd catch it, but I never really went looking for snakes. Yeah. I kind of had this weird connection. I don't know if any of you guys, I'm sure maybe you've heard the name before. This guy's name's Joe Fossey. He's from Tampa. Mm-hmm. He's on a bunch of chondro pedigrees going back to, shortly, early 80s probably. And he had the Southeast Reptile Exchange was his business. And he was importer, exporter. And I knew him through this weird connection. It was like my grandmother's beauty, hairdresser's son or something crazy like that. Wow. And so she told her that I was into snakes, and she said, "Oh, you should bring him over to my son's house." And anyway, it ended up being Joe Fossey. So I remember going to his house when I was, just getting started. And I remember one of the very first times I went over there, he had some adult green tree pythons. And they were the first ones I'd ever seen. And I still remember they were Marukis, had the perfect white stripe. So that was a big part of it too. When I was that age, I pretty much got everything, every animal that I had, I got through him, pretty much all the way through, through when I went to college and sold my collection off that I had at the time. Everything had come from him.
Nice. Let's talk about Rico Wilder, because you said you picked up a ball python from Rico, right?
Yeah.
So what else have you got from Rico? Rico has, I only know Rico because of Forrest and stuff, and the way he would talk about him, and obviously other emerald. Yeah. People. But who was Rico to you? Who was how did you guys meet and stuff like that?
You know, we met at the first, like maybe the first or second Chondro Fest, which was in Maryland. Can't remember what year it was, maybe like 2000 or 99, something like that. So I met him for the first time there. At the time, I was living up in the Northeast in Connecticut, and maybe like a couple years later, moved to Alabama, and then I was only 2.5 hours away from him. So we became friends, and yeah, he was a mentor. I always admired kind of what he was able to do, and how he had built up Signal Herp, and getting to go over to his house and see the whole operation, and just learning a lot from him, just because he had done it. He'd done it for so long. So I mean, he was a friend, mentor. Pretty much just the nicest guy you'd ever meet. Do anything for you. He'd be working, cleaning cages, and he'd have his, his headset on and like be taking phone calls from, who knows, like the, random guy. Hey, what kind of cage should I buy for my chondro? Like, talking to people, and which is great. I wish I had the time to do that. Right. But he was that guy. He would just, his passion was, infectious and very evident, and just was glad to share it with people.
When you first saw Rico's facility, was there any like inclination within you, like, man, I want to do this, I want to do green trees on a big scale like this? Was that a thought that ran through your head?
Yeah, it was already that. I was already having that thought before I went over there. Just because I had seen, like what I said earlier, Joe Fossey, and when I'd been to Eugene Bissett's place down in Gainesville, he was really the first person that, he was the first person that I actually bought animals from. Actually, Kevin McCurley at Nerd, I bought one snake from him. And then after that, it was pretty much Eugene. I flew down from I was living in Connecticut at the time, flew down to his place in Gainesville, and went through all of his, he had like 100 babies, had them all in like little I don't know, like plastic, they were shoe boxes, but they weren't in a rack or anything. They were just sitting out on his kitchen counter, and like 100 of them, and just got to go through and spent the night with him. His wife Cindy's really nice. She was teaching me and showing me how to feed them and how they kept records of everything. And it was just, that was the eye opener for me, as far as, what you could do with snakes, because I feel like during that time that I was in college for a couple years, that's really when the herp industry, as it is today, was kind of really being born, with morphs and albino berms, and albino ball python morphs were just coming out. And those couple years, like I sold my collection off, and then went to college, and when I got and started like looking to start buying things, it was like amazing. I could get everything on the internet. It was just a click away.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cool feeling sometimes, because when I started, I mean, it's also dangerous too. You gotta be careful, because when I realized how easy it was to get a snake you really want to your doorstep, and then you're like, wow, that happened quick, and then you're just like, wait a minute, I haven't really read as much as I should have on this snake. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one thing to another. I had to learn that the hard way. I mean, I remember, I got into this heavy, Marshall, like 2016, and it was like it jumped to ball pythons, and then I realized how overwhelming the whole morph shit was, and I was like, I don't want to work with all these. There's a million morphs. I was like, I'd rather just work with what I really want to work with. And when I did that, half the stuff I had was end up being sold. So now I have like only 20 ball pythons, but it's all stuff I want to work. And I ended up turning it all, like the other half, into chondros. And and then of course that led into scrubs, and then that led into mangroves, and then it led into Bayogas, black-headed cat snakes, all sorts of stuff, and Timors. But then it kind of got the fun kind of stopped. Like I was like, man, this is just getting really overwhelming, because I just wasn't used to keeping, not only that many snakes at once, but that many different types of species. They're all different. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, yo, I need to get practical. Luckily I did. And I parted ways with, like most of my Boyega stuff and some other stuff that I just didn't really care for keeping in the long run. So, but it's better to do that, right away than
Sure.
getting the animals
Yeah.
in.
You got to like what you're working with,
yeah. Like really love, like passionate wise. Like
that's right.
Yeah. No matter what, even if you have a shitty day at work or something, you still want to come home and mess with them and clean it. You know what I mean? So
yeah. You don't want it to be work, because then, that kind of takes the fun out of it, But I don't know. There's a lot of guys that are able to do it full time and love it.
Yeah.
So I guess work's work, man.
Some people just like to be the working dog, dude.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, huh, Steven?
He's eating. He's
eating his breakfast, lunch, and dinner right now in this.
Exactly.
Yeah, one meal a day.
He has rations.
Yeah, if that, man, it gets really bad.
They're stashed behind the couch. So cool. So man, you've had some amazing mentorship, with Rico and whatnot. I mean, that's awesome to hear, because it makes a lot of sense on where you're at now. I mean, the stuff that you're doing, Marcial, it's like you got it. I mean, it's like, man, this guy has to be established in this hobby, in the right kind of way, because you produce nothing but quality. Like, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, emeralds, right? You talked about chondros. When did the emeralds kind of get into the mix? When did we start? Was this after Rico?
I got my first ones from him also. I still have several of them behind me here. That was like in 07.
Nice.
So, whatever that is, 13 years ago.
You got some mature adults, man.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Did you ever make cots, or is it strictly captive bred the whole time?
Nah, I've never, ever since I got back into snakes, I've never bought anything wild caught. Everything is always captive bred. That was my, that was always kind of been my one rule.
A theme of our emerald guests has been starting off with wild caughts, feeling that pain, and then learning their lesson. I guess you learned from others before you made those mistakes yourself. Then,
I had to kill. I had not killed, but I had to put down 4 emeralds to realize how bad wild caught emeralds are and why it's not.
Yeah. And there's some people that can do it, and like know what to do and know how to treat them, and but I don't, and I really don't want to know. Like I really don't want to take the, I'd rather just buy captive bred and not have to deal with it.
It's like adopting a sick child with all these needs, and you're like,
yes.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Well, sort of, like, cause you're like, wow, look at the risk. Like, this kid has malaria or something, or like, like
what the hell?
Just examples. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what it is. Like, because if you look, a lot of people who post these wild caught emeralds on like pages, like for the most part, they're all jacked up looking. But then you have your people, like you said, that know what to do with them and they get them going. But I feel like that's a small percentage for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
yeah, like 3 or 4 people that I know, like that I could name right now that can do that.
Yeah, not a lot.
So there's not many. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, did you start off with northerns or basins or?
I started off with everything: northerns, basins, and crosses. All bought them all at the same time.
Okay. You initially bought crosses. You didn't make your own initial crosses.
No, I have done a few crosses myself that were like either pure Caninus or pure Batesii plus something else. But I also bought I guess it was a reverse trio of them from Rico. Reverse trio of 50/50s. Yeah. 2 of them that I still have are 50/50. They were northern to basin, and then I got 2 other ones from him that were, no, I guess it was 1 other one from him that was 50/50 to 50/50. So he had been doing it long enough to have 2nd generation offspring.
Did those look any different than the 1st generation?
Yeah, I think so. but I really think it just kind of depends on the two individual snakes too, because a lot like the craziest ones that I've produced have been from 50-50 to pure northern. So I don't know if it was just, the bloodlines was Miss Willie line, northern female, and to the 50-50 male. And that's what produced, I produced maybe 3 or 4 that were, super duper crazy high white, and they all came from that pairing. And I've also done 50-50 to 50-50, and those end up coming out like more consistent for whatever reason. Like, they'll all be, there'll be 1 or 2 standouts in the litter, depending on how big the litter is. And then maybe you'll get 1 or 2 that have crazy patterns. And then the rest of them are just kind of right there in the middle, almost like,
sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I'll go for it.
I was going to say almost like the same pattern of a normal, of a northern.
Yeah.
But, just more cleaner white. None of that, like, how the northern says you get close to the head, they get the gray, sooty markings in the white. It just really cleans that up for whatever reason. And now I've got a few that I've raised up that are, I guess they're 4 years old now. And from that pairing, from the kind of the crazy, they're siblings to the crazy ones, which I no longer have those. Somebody made me just a ridiculous offer that I couldn't refuse, so I sold them. But I still have a couple of female siblings from that litter, and they're starting to show like a little bit of striping, which is kind of weird for a cross. Most of them that I've seen at least haven't had any striping at all. It may have, a ton of white, big, huge clouds kind of down the back, or like half circles. Not too different from like a red neonate Biak pattern, but with white.
Interesting. Have you ever done a 50-50 to pure basin?
No.
Do you know of anyone who has? I'm just curious.
No, I don't. I know that there hasn't been a whole lot of people that have done the crosses. I know that obviously Rico's done it, and before I got into it, another guy I think his name's Noe Perez. He made some of the or one of the like most crazy extreme 50-50s that I've ever seen. And I don't know who ended up with the snake. I think maybe I know Tom Widener. I think he's close to Des. Doesn't he? Isn't he close to y'all? Y'all are in Iowa, right?
Indiana.
Okay. I think he might be in Iowa. He used to own Habitat Systems. I heard they're out of business now, but anyway, he had a pretty large collection of emeralds, and I think he might have ended up with it. But anyway, Noe Perez, maybe Tom, and not a whole lot of others that I know of have done the any crosses at all. And now with them being separate species, it's almost like they're hybrids. So I've started calling them hybrids just because if you don't call them hybrids, people think that you're like trying to hide the fact that they're hybrids,
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly with any of your snakes, there's nothing you're trying to hide. That's for damn sure.
No, I don't care about hybrids. Normally I don't like them. Not because, but to me, like, I don't know. There's the splitters and the lumpers, when it comes to taxonomy, and I'm definitely a lumper. Like I'll, lump stuff together. Does there really need to be 4 chondro species? Like I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, they're all going to be Morelia or Chondropython viridis, really, to me.
Chondros.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at things, I guess. I've never been huge on the kind of natural history side. I've always just been accepted the fact that I'm doing this in my basement, and it's I'm yeah. Yeah, I'm doing it for fun. Exactly. Like, you know, it's not like
Not that serious.
it's not, well,
Yeah.
it's serious.
It's
It's
serious,
just
but
not
it's
like,
like-
it's not as academic. But how about that?
Right.
I don't know.
Yep.
So can I show? I want to look at this. I'm geeking out on your page, not, you know, and going back to some pictures that I remembered seeing in the beginning days of following you. And this was such a, you know, diverse emerald clutch right here that you had. I don't know if people could see that, but
Yeah.
that was in 2016.
Yeah.
You have like a green one in there almost, and then you
Yep.
have some with different patterns, like the, you know, some with banding that's almost disappeared. Like there's like, it's more like a dot versus a stripe.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, did you keep most of these, or did most of these get sold?
I kept most of them. I kept pretty much all of them. Actually, no, I think sold Forrest a couple. So I don't know, Des, you may still have them at your place. I think I sold him maybe a reverse trio of them or something. Can't remember if it was that clutch or maybe, that litter, or maybe one that was, I think it might've been that one actually. Anyway, he's the only person that I think that I've ever sold the crosses to, except for one other guy that pretty much bought all the, you know, like I said earlier, he made me a crazy offer for, like, you know, the nicest, craziest ones. And,
Yeah, of course.
I couldn't turn it down. So
He wants the nicest of the nicest. He doesn't care. That's just what, it doesn't matter.
that's right.
Shoot the number.
Yeah.
Man, I miss that dude, bro. You know, because I mean, like I always talk, we're just getting, I guess you could say, lucky. I don't know. We're super blessed with the guests we're having on, but you were definitely one of the dudes in the mix that we always try to write down. Okay, we need to get this guy on the show. You were heavy top of the person we talked about bringing on. So I know right now he's watching this and he's just like, hell yeah.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear that.
Yeah, man.
Love talking to you on the show.
Hell yeah. So breeding, man, let's get into the breeding side of you know, your career of keeping animals. You know, you said what year was it when you were, you know, with Rico collecting buying emeralds with him? That was what, early 2000s, right?
That was 07 that I got emeralds, but I got the first chondros in 98.
Okay, and you kept them for how long before you started pairing them and doing all that stuff?
3 years. So I bought like 10 babies over the course of a year, or maybe a year or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't buy anything else until I raised those up and started breeding them. And that was 3 years. So
were you more of a like, okay, I like that snake, I'm going to put them together, or what kind of research?
Yeah.
Yep, it was all
pretty
visual.
much.
Yeah.
Or you know, the bloodlines, or even if it wasn't necessarily that particular snake that I thought was so cool, but it was from a certain bloodline. I always have bred for phenotype instead of locality, or for, you know, I've always just tried to breed stuff that looks cool.
You know, they say that, you know, and this is, I guess this is true because I've experienced, I don't know how bad Steven's had to deal with this, but, you know, like, you know, oh, it's a nightmare to breed chondros. You know, it's like almost like beware, because chondros are heartbreaking, and they can be, right? But how big was your heartbreaking experience with chondros? Did you even have a heartbreaking experience?
There's plenty of heartbreak. Yeah. As recently as last week.
Damn it.
But I mean, it just happens, you know.
Yeah.
But at this point, you know, I'm used to. I had success before the problems, so maybe that's what you know. I'm sure that probably helped, right? But no, I honestly, I didn't really have any problems for the first 5 or 10 years, and then it's you know, like all the problems that you hear about now with, you know, gravid females. Those are really the only ones you ever have problems with. You know, like males. You know, Versace's 17 years old. I had another male that lived to like 20 something. So
Sweet.
Males and even females, if you don't breed them, they live into the 20s, you know.
Right.
But you breed them, and they just, you know, if you get 3-4 clutches out of them over the course of their lifespan, like you're doing pretty good. that's for whatever reason, they get stressed. They get, just takes so much out of them, I guess, that they, that, a lot of them will end up with a respiratory infection or with a, something that ends up, they're, egg bound or, something that just ends up, taking them down.
Dang. So maybe giving them a break, like, not breeding them.
I think that helps. Yeah, for sure. Like I only breed them every year. I'll breed them every, I don't breed them till they're 5 years old at least.
Yeah.
And then, I'll do, maybe 2 years in a row, but no more than that without a year off.
It's funny how some people get mad when you you have a lot of new chondro keepers that come and ask you questions, and I'm definitely still a newbie, but they'll ask me and like, oh man, how old's your chondro? And I'm like, she's like 5+. And then they'll send me a picture of their chondro. He's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna give this girl a go this year. And I'm like, well, how old is she? She's like, oh, she's about to turn 3. And I'm like, well, I was like,
Yeah.
I personally would wait till 5, and they almost get offended when you say that. And I'm like, dude, I'm just telling you, I would wait. Chondro's such a good waiting. It's if you have the waiting game mentality with a chondro, your longevity's in your future. I'm telling you right now. But if you're like ball python style, like, hey,
there's no way. There's totally different. You're right. It's a different mindset, totally different species. You can't get in a hurry. You can't push them. You can't overfeed them. You got to be patient. Patience is.
Have them. I appreciate. I mean, like, if none of my chondros bred, I would still keep chondros and just be like, I mean, at least I really got a really cool looking pet. But that's why I love them, because they're these animals I would only look at in a zoo magazine when I was in elementary school, and they're in a damn jungle. Never in my mind did I think I'd have a room full of them. So I mean,
but I do understand though, because my first female that I bred was 3 years old. So, when you're just getting into it and you don't know what you don't know, you want to breed them as fast as possible. But, as I've seen the problems that can happen with that, it's just, it makes me not want to take the chance anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely.
Now, as far as any egg-bound females, have you had to deal with any of that?
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Were you able to fix it on your own? Did you have to take them to the vet?
No, I've taken them to the vet, had surgeries. Luckily, I've got a really excellent herp vet that's a good friend of mine and a neighbor that lives like 10 minutes away. So, she'll come over sometimes if it's really bad, or I'll take the snake over to her house. And if she needs to take it in to get x-rays or whatever, ultrasound, she just takes it to her office the next day. And it's been fortunate to have that, because I know a good herp vet is not easy to come by.
No,
it's like gold.
Yeah.
Now, as far as ultrasound machines, you rock with one of those?
Nah.
Palpate or anything, or is it just
Nothing.
Like visual dull? Like, all right,
I put them together. Like I kind of just picked the chondros all go together at the same time. Ball pythons, usually I'm using one male to multiple females, and I just kind of eyeball it, man. I'll start just cycling them through all the females, like at the first first time it's time to put them together. I'll put them together and I'll just move the male to a different tub every 2 or 3 days. Like if I see a lock, I'll move them the next day. If I don't see a lock for a couple of days, I'll leave them and then move them to the next tub.
Routine.
So, yeah. But I've never tried messed with an ultrasound or anything like that. I just don't. It's like a whole nother thing you have to do, and like I'm just one man show. So to keep the collection cleaned and keep the fucking rodents going, that's like a whole nother thing. It's just limited amounts of time. So I've never really tried to had time to do it or tried to do it.
Yeah. Now as far as your neonates and stuff, I hear like there's like a rule, right? Like not a rule, but like, man, you don't really want to produce anything more than 4 chondro clutches, because if you have 4 chondro clutches, let's say 10 babies at the minimum, or like best case or whatever at per clutch, it's 40 babies to feed. I mean, what's your experience with feeding neonates and like all that kind of stuff? Is it could it be like head wrenching, or is it, do you have a good technique when it comes to feeding them? Or
yeah, it can be. That's the hardest part of breeding chondros for sure, is getting the babies established. Everything else is pretty easy except for dealing with the female, adult female problems. But yeah, getting the babies established is a pain, just feeding them. I think the most I produced in 1 year was I had 4 clutches, and it was like, I don't know, 58 babies or 64 babies or something like that. And it all worked out. Like, I remember it being a lot of time in this, a lot of time in the snake room. But I didn't have kids at the time, and it was different. Definitely couldn't do that now. But I've always just kind of put pairs together knowing that everyone's not going to work out. I've got probably a 50 to 75% success rate. So, you put 4 pairs together. If 3 of them go, that's really good. If 2 of them go, that's about what you'd expect.
And then what was a good training tip for, or like what helped you kind of get dialed in with feeding neonates and whatnot? Like, did you have a good mentor? Like, did Rico or anybody help you out with that, or is that just like trial and error?
Sure. No, yeah, he helped me out. Greg Maxwell helped me out. But the biggest thing that helped me out is chick scent. You use chick scent, and that's I probably have a 75% success rate on the first try when using chick scent. I just use it automatically now. I don't even try the first couple meals without it, just because it makes it so much easier.
And do you use chick down or actual chick scent? Like, do you get the feathers?
No, I have like a bag of chicks in the freezer, and I'll just pull some of the feathers off and put them in like a Ziploc bag, just kind of dip the frozen thawed pinky or the whatever get your pinky and kind of wet it on the head, and then roll it around in there where some of the feathers will stick to it, and do it like that.
I was able to get my chondro to go like off the first try. I did exactly what you did. I got a little first day hop or mouse pinky, and I thought put it in a bag full of feathers and kind of like toss it around up, turn it on first off, or like first try, boom, tagged it, and I was like, wow. So I know what you mean with the oh wow, we have a heavy commenter here. Do you know Pedro by the chance?
Do I? Yeah, of course. Yes, I know Pedro. What's up, Pedro?
Pedro is, man, it's pretty late where he's at right now. I'm pretty sure he's 8 hours ahead of us. So I don't know what time it is, but he's a night owl, so he's up late anyway. So what up, Pedro?
Sweet.
Pedro's in the building. Really cool chondro keeper that we had on a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, man. So let's talk about we were talking about breeding chondros and whatnot. Your trial, your the things you went through keeping them and breeding them. Now with emeralds, right? Is this going to be an easier talk, harder talk? Like, how is it breeding emeralds?
Way easier.
Really cool. I want to hear.
Yeah. No, man, they compared to chondros, at least in my experience, they are pretty bulletproof. Like they just they don't get sick. You breed them, and they, I would say I've probably had an 80 or 90% success rate from pairs that I've put together. The problems that I've had with them have been, and it's been like a consistent problem. So I don't know if it's just something that I'm doing wrong, or my maybe I don't have my temperatures quite dialed in. But so like when babies are born, I've had, maybe 10% of them will come out and their stomachs are not fully closed up. So like where their umbilical cord comes out and they're attached to the yolk sac, instead of that being just like a belly button, it's like a big slit in their stomach. So I've talked to Ed about it. Ed actually gave me the tip of what to do, and now I kind of know how to deal with it. But basically, I'll get Laura, my wife. She'll come down here and hold them, and I'm kind of like the the surgeon. Use super glue and just glue it, glue the scales together, and then once they make it to first shed, then they're usually good after that. Yeah.
Super glue.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful with that, right? It's not like
yeah, I've glued my fingers together a couple times,
whatever to keep that animal alive.
That's right. And it's always the nicest. It's always the nicest ones, those are the ones that come out, with some kind of problem.
Yeah. Man. So when was your first successful litter of emeralds?
I don't know. I guess maybe like 2012 or so. I don't know. 7 or 8 years ago.
7, 8 years ago, and you had kept those emeralds. You had those emeralds as well for like a few years before you bred them, or did you sit on those for a while?
No, yeah, they were like either 5 or 6 years old when I bred them.
Nice. It's old, man. Telling you guys need to listen to that. That's the I feel like that's so
it's patience, man. That's all it. That's what it is. You can't. They're on their own. They're on their own schedule. You just gotta. I tend to feed stuff pretty sparingly. I don't at least chondros and emeralds. Feed them sparingly. I mean, it's possible to get them up to size and breed them at 3 years. But there's a lot of things that you have to do to be able to, try to help prevent prolapses or, they're just not meant to be. They're not ball pythons or corn snakes or whatever, where you can just feed the hell out of them,
I had the last wild caught RIP that I had prolapsed on me, and it was like a scene out of Alien, bro. I was like, what the hell is that? I've never seen anything in my entire life. Like, it literally looked like all insides were completely just out of it, but I got on the phone with a buddy of mine. I was like, yo, what do I do? And he told me, the procedure. And as I got the warm water and stuff together, I came back and it was back inside.
It was gone. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, because I was screaming for my wife. I was like, damn it. I was like pissed, just mad. I was like, dude, this is good. I was like, this is not good. I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking of vet bills in my head. It's like, this is not good. And so, and then within 20 minutes, fucking everything it was
gone. Yeah.
It was gone. And I was like, wow. That was weird.
They do that sometimes. There's been a bunch of times where that's happened, where I'll be in the snake room at night, opening tubs, just checking on stuff, and I'll see one and I'll be like, whoa, and then give it 10 minutes and it looks perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We were talking about heartache earlier. Like just the other day, I had one. I have a 66% possible het that I had bred to Versace, and she ovulated. I only saw one copulation, so I wasn't super. I didn't have high expectations of what was going to happen, but she ended up laying last week, and it was 14 or 15 all slugs, and she prolapsed. But I was able to fix the prolapse, and she's been fine for now. So
honestly, man, all I want is if my females do go. Pedro's gonna laugh at me because he's like, "That you're full of shit." But I was talking to Pedro, and I was like, "Honestly, man, all I care is about my female recovering. Like that's it." And he's like, "Shut the hell up! You want babies too?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I want neonates, but dude, I just also want my female to be fine. Like I would,
right?
It's one thing losing a clutch of eggs, but having your female that you purposely bred fucking die on you, you kind of feel like at fault. You're like,
right,
fuck." You know what I mean? So, I mean, just be ready for it. I'm ready for it, dude. Like, I don't want it to happen, but if it does, in my mind, I know it's practical and it could happen. You just got to be ready for it.
Right.
Be smart. I think given the whole break thing's very, the fact that this is my first actual year, I would say breeding the chondros I want, I'm definitely going to consider giving them a year or two off, or, it's no rush for me. I mean, this is, because I also the chondro eggs I do hatch. Hopefully, whatever comes out, I'm gonna keep most of these. I'm like Steven with his scrub. I'm not gonna get rid of any of these, unless it's swapping Steven or some shit, or Patrick or Marcial Mendez. That'd be awesome. But I don't know. I would just want to keep on what I have and not have to worry about selling it. And then, like I said, not being such a rush to breed every year. I need to breed every year. I need to breed every year. You know what I mean? I'm not really in it for that per se.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So let's talk about some ball pythons. I know Steven's excited for this one. What's going on with your ball pythons this year, man? I mean, I could tell you right now, you're a huge influence for people getting into ball pythons and switching over to getting to emeralds, because like, you know, your attention to me were the arboreals first. And then I was like, whoa, this guy breeds ball pythons too. Like that's how it was for me. But then I'm kids, you know, or not even younger, a younger generation buying ball pythons from you, but then they're also like trying to get into arboreal stuff now. So it's like, you're also like bringing stuff to the table for ball python people because of your ultra mills and your other ball python projects.
Sure.
But what's going on this year with them, man? Tell us a little bit.
No, yeah, I love them, man. They're I don't have I don't have a huge collection, just, you know, by relative standards. You know, there's so many people that are into ball pythons, and there's just some amazing, you know, operations out there. And you know, my setup, mine's nothing like that. You know, I've got maybe 50-ish adults total, and okay. You know, last year I have maybe about 30 or so, maybe 40 holdbacks, and I'm pretty much sold out. I've got like 5 2019s left for sale, and that's it. So I've been. What do I hold back? Pretty much everything related to the Ultra Clown project.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head 40 holdbacks. That's huge. That's like, I got 9 last year, and I was like, woohoo! But fucking 40, imagine that, bro. That's an arsenal right there.
Yeah, you know, again, it's like everything else. The thing with the ball pythons is you've got to have, you know, to hit the combo or that you're trying to get, or hit the morph that you want. You can't just have one pair, you know, otherwise it'll take you forever. You got to have, you know, 5 females of the same gene to be able to get, you know, be able to get the numbers up, hit the, you know, just your statistical probability, you know?
Yeah. So ultra male clowns.
Ultra male, pretty much everything I have is either related to ultra male or clown. Everything in my collection is either het for one or the other, or both, or I've gotten really lucky over the last couple of years. I started when I first got into ball pythons. I did ultra male to clown. That was one of the first pairings that I did when I got the ultra males. I had a clown female that I had, you know, raised up, and is the first thing I bred her to, or one of the first things was my male ultra male. And from that first clutch, it was a pretty small clutch of 5, but they were all females. So yeah, I got super lucky. I still have all 5 of them. And they're kind of like what I breed, you know, once I hit the ultra clown, which I hit it on the first time, but it took like 26 eggs to get it. From that particular, from double het to double het.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Once I got him, he once you have the male, you know, it makes it really easy. Your odds go way up.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say I got lucky as hell, not only with the amount of females I got last year, but I had a clutch where I got 11 females in one clutch. Every egg was a female, and I was like,
That's awesome.
I thought there was something wrong with my popping game. I was like, oh God. I was like, there's something wrong. And then I actually had some, Chris Hurster, I think he came through, or somebody came through and was like, hey, can you verify these? And they're like, dude, they're all females. And I was like, wow. I don't know what it was, but I was super stoked with my female count. Now this year, I'm like, fuck, I need males. So yeah, hopefully this year I could, you know, at least get a 50-50 ratio or whatever, but I'm not complaining. Females are never bad. So I'm not bitching if I get, nothing but females this year again. It's fucking good for me.
Yeah, I've always been one to hold back like every female, but now, like I've in the past, it hasn't been a big deal, but now kind of in every species that I've got, the ball pythons, the chondros, I feel like I'm light on males. Like, you know, I spread the males a little bit too thin probably in the ball pythons. Like if I had, another couple of heavy hitters that I could use, maybe like just even one or two, instead of spreading the male out to, 4. I think I had one male sire 6 clutches last year. So I think that was a record for me at least.
Damn, 6 clutches? And he was eating.
Yeah,
like, he was beasting down and eating during the whole time, huh?
Oh yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so crucial that you're saying this because I'm assuming you've only paired them no more than 2-3 times per female. Because I mean, I'm sure you knew their ovulation coming. Okay, that's the key, dude. I'm telling you, there's people. I was one of those idiots. Not that you're an idiot. I apologize. Let's be nice. But I was one of those people. I was one of those people in the beginning, getting 7, 8, 9, 10 locks, and just getting unnecessary locks because I was pairing them too soon, basically wearing out the male for no reason. And then it's funny, Marshall, my chondro that just laid for me, I paired her once, dude. Once. I only paired her once, and she blew up, dude. And I was like, what? I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I think it has to do with luck, but it's also knowing when your girl's ready to go and not fucking doing it so early.
Yeah, it's all timing.
During an earthquake.
Huh?
Was it during an earthquake?
Dude, remember we did have an earthquake on a podcast.
I know.
No,
barometric pressure.
She had ovulated February, like around the end of February, and then she laid. So she laid, I think, day 50, 54, 55 post-ovulation. So, fuck it, I don't know. Either way, I'm stoked. I'll take it. But I just thought it was crazy how I only paired her once, had 2 visual locks, and that was it. Crazy.
Yeah, it's all timing. You put her in, it just takes one. You just has to be at the right time,
Super right time. And super right time. All right, back to the ball pythons. So when did your market start to build for the ball pythons? Like, what was your first ball python clutch that really like, oh shit, Marshall has ball pythons, and like blew from there? Was it ultra mill from the only ultra mill in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't only like when I first started, I had a little bit of this, 1 or 2 of that. And then finally it was like, man, this is getting too big, too many, like, the rodents. I hate doing the rodents. And I've got just a very small rodent operation, which is basically just enough to feed babies, to have live rodents for babies. And, it was just getting to where, it was just too scattered out. So I was like, all right, I'm getting rid of everything I have that's not either het ultramel or het clown. So that thinned out like half of what I had. And it allowed me to feed the ones that I had more, allowed me to, basically just concentrate on those and not have just a bunch of random onesie twosies to things. Everything that I had was part of the project and had a specific, goal in mind. So the ultra clown I think is what I'm pretty sure I've probably produced more of those than anybody. I think I've produced maybe 8 or I think 8 last year, and then 4 or 5 the year before that. So a bunch.
How does that make you feel?
I mean,
it's
what's that?
It's just whatever to you, no big deal.
I mean, no, it's hard work, and again, man, it's just patience, patience and perseverance. You can't give up. It took let's see, those first animals that I have, those first 5 females, I'm looking at their tub right now. They're 2013. So that was 7 years in the making to get to that. So
wow. It's time.
Yeah, it's just, if you got the time, you can do it. You just can't, and you got to be smart about it. Me selling off everything that I had and just saying, all right, I'm going to keep these 5 females when I could have just kept 1 or 2, and sold the rest of them. That's what allowed me to, kind of have some cool ball pythons that not a whole lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
This is nuts. I'm sorry. I know we're talking about ball pythons, but this is just nuts. Oh, wait, where's
Those comments are nuts, man.
Look. This animal is transferred to being green, and then look at the head. When did that head start to change, or what's that head look like now?
It eventually changed. Yeah, it eventually changed to green.
You're high scale. Oh, here we go. This is what I want to talk about. Check this out. This is nuts.
Oh yeah, the Amazons. Those are awesome.
Dude, you have some really red and white looking ones too, right?
Yeah, those are both calicos.
But then hold on, there's a white and
tiger.
Red.
Yeah, tiger.
So what's up with those, dude? What's going on? What's the story within those?
I have a trio. I got them from Rory Gresco, and honestly, I haven't had great luck with them yet. I've had my calico pair together pretty much all season this year, and haven't seen any type of action, any interest in breeding whatsoever from that male. So I think I'm going to try to find another male this year, and see what happens next year.
I wish you luck on that, because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But who the
that
hell?
Female. That's the. I'm pretty sure that's the female that just laid eggs and prolapsed the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
What's a current? Do you have is there a current photo of her on this?
Yeah,
account?
there's one of her. There's one of her in the nest box, like pretty recent, like in the last couple weeks.
And then her right here. There she is.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Wow, man, that transformation is just too much.
Yeah, she went through really cool color change. There was a point when she was probably 70% yellow, like super bright, screaming yellow.
Wow.
And so, how many healthy eggs did we get out of this clutch? Or no, did they all slug? I can't remember.
Yeah, all zero. Zero.
Damn. What a Debbie Downer.
All right.
It's all good though. You're gonna get it again. We'll try it.
When we had Pedro on the show, he was talking about how like phenotypically extreme females seem to be worse breeders than the less extreme. When you're talking about designer lineages, do you agree with that? And do you think this might be a case of instance?
Yeah,
like that?
I think designer lineage in general definitely doesn't produce the numbers that locality stuff does. And I think at least if one of the parents is a locality type snake, I think your odds of having a successful pairing are much higher, and bigger, higher numbers, more eggs, all that. It doesn't really seem to have an effect on like the babies, like as far as the health of the babies or anything, but definitely the numbers are lower. Like my first clutch, I think was 22 eggs or something like that. And I hatched 23 babies because there was one set of twins in there. And now a good, like the biggest clutch I've had in the last 5 or 6 years is probably 8 to 10, something like that, so like half the size.
What the fuck?
Now let's talk about as far as like your typical routine with your neonates with your emeralds, right? You keep them all together until they're first shed, right?
No, I'll on the arboreal stuff, like the baby emeralds, I'll put them together just until like they all come out and just wash the egg slime off of them, or wash the slime off of them basically, and then I'll set them up separately. And same thing with chondros. As soon as they come out, I'll put them together and maybe like take a clutch photo that'll have, everything that ended up hatching from that clutch in it, and then separate them from that point on.
Nice. Now, do you keep them like over like a small amount of water like Ed does, or do you have a different routine as far as like how you keep them in the tub?
Well, I haven't. In the past, I have not kept them on water. I've always kept them on paper towels, but I've also had a pretty high number of prolapses with babies. And just last year, my buddy Bill Stiegel, he Phoenix Reptiles, he told me about how he keeps all of his babies on water. and he had never had a prolapse. So I tried it out this year, and I've got about 8 or 10 babies, and no prolapses. I'm not doing it right now, but something that I am doing with babies that I had not done before is spraying them like every day.
Right.
Whereas before I would let the paper towel in the bottom of their cage dry out. Now it's constantly damp, but there's good, like I've got 3 or 4 fans in the room blowing air around. So there's good ventilation, but also humidity.
Yeah, the airflow is important for sure.
And I think the hydration or the dehydration is what causes the prolapses. So if you can, get them drinking and, spray them and let them drink off their coils, and because they don't always find the water bowl, but if you spray them, they'll drink off themselves.
Yeah, for the most part, it's exactly how it goes down. Do you have a trick as far as getting them to take? Like, do you typically do live first and then go frozen thawed, or do you just try to do frozen thawed right off the bat?
No, I just do frozen thawed right off. It depends. For chondros, I just do frozen thawed right off the bat with chick scent. And the emeralds, I get them started on live hoppers, mouse hoppers, and then they're not any problem to switch over. So I'll get them going. I'll get 7 or 8 meals, 10 meals in them, and then switch them over to frozen thawed. And they just, at that point, once they're sight feeding, like when you open the tub and they're coming out of the tub looking for a meal, you can put whatever in front of them and they'll take it,
Yeah. That's the beauty of a captive born emerald, man. They're
right.
Thriving and driving, man. Like the ones I have that are, I don't have to worry about overfeeding. I don't overfeed them, but let's just say if they happen to eat a bigger meal this time around, they're not going to throw it up. You know what I mean? Like they're going to hold it down. Like emeralds could actually hold it. A healthy emerald could hold down a size meal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I have some, like my big adult female emeralds that are, 13, 14 years old. I'll feed them retired breeder rats every now and then when I have them, and they take them, no problem.
You said breeder rats? Is that what you said?
A retired breeder rat. So, like a big ass rat. Yeah.
Damn. That's cool. So I can maybe, I don't think I would ever feed a mammoth to my emerald.
These are big females. These are 10 plus year old females, and I may not feed them again for 2 months or something, but I've done it multiple times and never had any ill effects from it. Yeah,
that's I think I had somebody tell me that. I think I don't know if it was Ryan, but somebody was like, man, you should not have to be concerned about feeding an emerald. If it's healthy, it's gonna fucking keep it down. It's gonna eat.
Yeah.
All right, Steven's over.
Totally.
See you, Steven.
Potty break.
What's up with that guy, dude? You need to feed him more, Desiree. He's moody today. Steven didn't get enough calories today. No. we give
I think it's bathroom break.
We love Steven.
He drinks a lot of coffee.
You got anything for our man, Marcial Des?
I'm just enjoying it. Chondro Coalition, that was a big deal. Terry Phillip, Rico, back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember FORREST meeting all of them like early on at Tinley and drinking dogfish. Like that was
I think that's the year that I actually met FORREST.
Yeah.
Was at that show.
Exactly. Yeah. He used to talk a lot about that.
Yeah, so that was like the original Chondro Coalition, I think was maybe 2004 or 5, and it was Greg Maxwell and Trooper, Rico. I forget who else. Maybe like Jim Avey. Remember? I don't know if you ever heard of like an Avey incubator.
Yeah.
He was in there. That like at Daytona, there was like this little side room. Was it? Yeah, I guess it was. Can't remember if it was it had to be Daytona. It wasn't Orlando, but there was like this little side room that was completely separate from the whole rest of the floor, and that's where the Chondro Coalition was set up.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of the booths, but
Yeah,
I think they had their last one at that Tinley.
pretty sure that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Rico got sick right after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
Sad. Rico's. I mean, I wish I would have had the privilege to meet Rico, just because the way you talk about him, the way Forrest used to talk about him, you could just tell that was a man who was just a legend in his prime, and just like huge impact on everything. I mean, he's it's cool because even the younger generation are starting to know and get game on Rico, and it's cool that they know that kind of history of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important, especially with the chondro and the emerald community. Like, I talked to a lot of people who haven't been keeping for that long, but you ask them about stuff, and man, they know their stuff, they know their knowledge. So it's one thing I respect about the community, the chondro community and the emerald community, is like these people they geek out and they find out who's who from what and how long they've been doing it. So I think that's the reason for this show, man. I mean, is to get people, let people know, like, look, these are individuals who've been doing this, and obviously show off your work, but just get information out there that people can't normally come across unless you're friends with the person or something. So
yeah, chondro keepers are a weird unique bunch. They're just tend to be
super snobby.
Yeah, super snobby, super nerdy. Like all into the details and all into the pedigree, and there's people that can
they get triggered too, bro. Oh, you trigger a chondro guy, and then if one of his buddies get triggered, they are on you like flies on shit, dude. And it's like, dude, it's like, oh man. But it's just, they're passionate people, you know what I mean? That's all it is. And I have my buddy JIMISON, the chondro clutch, he's like, oh man, he's like, that's it, you're a chondro breeder. He's like, you're gonna change. He's like, everything's gonna change now. I was like, he's like, you're gonna be a snob. I'm like, fuck, no, I'm not. I'm a ball python guy. But, I know what you mean. I do hold a sense of respect for the community, the chondro community and stuff, just because of the knowledge and shit like that.
It's a whole different, it's like a whole different mindset compared to, like I would say, like just kind of being with, 1 foot kind of in both, as far as the chondros, which are kind of a niche, market, as far as very few people, kind of a specialized, specialized animal. People think that, you have to, all the bad stuff you read about them. Whereas, ball pythons, a lot of people approach it with more of a kind of a mindset of business and, how to make money doing it, and that's a whole different mindset. I kind of like both. But, so yeah.
Okay, what I'm tripping out, and I'm wondering when this will change. It's not going to be me, because I tried doing YouTube vlogs and I'm good. I don't want to do it. But how for a lot of YouTubers out there, as far as in the reptile game, it's primarily ball pythons that they do. Like, it's a lot of ball python YouTubers out there. I mean,
yeah, there are.
That's why ball pythons are so damn popular. But they were popular before, but now they're on a whole nother level of popularity. You got collaborating with celebrities. Celebrities are buying ball pythons, putting them on their 22 million follower account. It's being spread. But imagine if there was YouTubers like that for chondros or something. Like, that's, what I mean? I don't know if that would be a good thing, but I mean, I just feel like chondros.
I don't think it's just one of those things where I don't think it would be possible to do that with chondros, just because, you've got to have more knowledge. You've got to know, a ball python's a lot easier to breed and keep alive, and, than a green tree python or an emerald. Like, beginners can't necessarily have the same success with a green tree or an emerald as they can with ball pythons. I mean, ball pythons are just, they're super easy to take care of. They're pretty easy to breed. You don't have any problems with them. They don't get sick. It's a whole different, it's almost kind of more of like, I almost think of the ball python operation almost as like a farm. It's like seriously, like you're raising cows, or you're raising, whatever.
Damn, chicken farms are pretty looked out. I visited a chicken farm. I visited a chicken farm when I was 6, and it was like my grandfather or somebody related to me. And he's like, come on, son, follow me. And basically my job go find any deformed chicken and break its neck. So
Oof.
I keep he was like, oh, there's one. He's like, grab that one. Like, it doesn't look right. So I would grab it, and he like, dude, I had to step on its head and just dislocate its neck basically. And I'm 6 years old, and I'm like, it turned to be very terrifying to like, oh wow, so this is just this is how we eat. Like, this is how chickens go into the grocery store. So then I was like, wow, that's a fucked up mindset to have, to just naturally break a chicken's neck and just not be, just keep it moving. You know what I mean? So
yeah, right.
I never left my life, but I'm good on raising chickens. And fucking, I don't think I'll ever do it. And it smells horrendous. It smells disgusting. Oh
I'm
man.
sure.
Well, anyways, don't have to worry about breaking any snakes' necks. That's for sure. Oh, you want to hear something crazy? I think you know who Patrick Holmes is?
Yeah, of course.
Sick ass cat. So Patrick, I don't think this was on the podcast. Tell me if this was, guys. But I know I had a conversation with Patrick that he had a neonate that he was feeding. The neonate struck so hard that it broke its neck. It did something where it took and wrapped and died.
Yeah, I had an animal at one point that was I forget what kind of animal. I forget what it was. It was like maybe a cyclops. I think it was a cyclops. Cyclops baby. And when it got to be like a year old, I noticed that it had this like just crazy crick in its neck, to where it like, its neck was like right behind the head was all jacked up. And it was almost like you accidentally, I'm sure you've had a ball python or whatever where you try to close the tub and they've got their head stuck out, and you accidentally, right. And it was almost like that happened, but it never had. And the only thing I can think of is that it struck so hard that it just, fucked itself up.
Something tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, snakes are pretty like, I mean, I've had ball pythons that like really messed themselves up, either trying to escape or even like retics. Like retics, man, they're like, to this day, I have some retics that push into their faces deformed. I'm talking about like bottom lip is that way, the top lip is this way, and then you feed them, and then next thing you know, everything just goes back together. I just think retics are retards too. They're just fucking. They don't understand. But
yeah, I've never had one. Actually, I had one when I was a kid. I don't even know what it was. Some wild caught something or other. Retic. It was the only thing you could get at the time. But that's just like too big for me. Like
retics like the what's a good way to put it? Like the muscle head, like the beef head, who's like all strong, which is pretty stupid. Like, bro, I
didn't say that, but
you spend your whole life in the gym and fucking, you don't know how to fucking open up a window or something, just something simple like that. I don't know. I love my retics though. They're honestly they have great personalities, and they're a different breed for sure.
I've heard they have like super high metabolism, and they shit a lot, and they
shit after shit. It's weird. Like you'll have one. The thing is, they'll piss out a gallon of piss with their shits. So you'll have a shit with all this piss in the bottom, and you'll clean it and keep it moving. What happens the next day? The same thing. And you're like, dude, like you did this. Like, normally you only have to deal with it once with the snake. Retics will just like, oh shit, I have to shit again. Like, what do you know? And it's like, and there you go. You have to deal with it. So
yeah.
Fuck, dude. That's definitely on my plate full of that.
Because you had to move them all, and then the next day get in the clean cage.
I mean, they just seem like they're a lot of work, like a lot of like physical work to keep them, to keep them the right way.
And if you actually get tagged by one, it could ruin your whole day. It could, if you have, your fucking days could get ruined in one feed bite in an instant. I had one retic I got rid of that gave my dad 17 stitches off a fucking feed bite, and his hand looked like it got stuck into a blender. It was terrible. And yeah, it's just by not paying attention one time. It's like you don't have any room for mess ups for the most part with the retic, and it's like
they don't play, man. Anything that big, hell, even a big emerald. If a big emerald's got a hold of you, that's fortunately, knock on wood, it's never happened to me, but that could mess you up pretty bad,
Oh my god. So let's talk about as far as so retics. That was in your early. You had one retic when you were younger, like as a
Yeah,
kid?
just like a baby. I didn't keep it very long. Like I kept it like so this guy Joe Foster, he would let me like trade, keep stuff. He'd send me stuff. I'd get like a berm or a boa or whatever, keep it till it got a certain size, and I'd send it back to him and get another baby one. So yeah, so like before the chondro collection started, that's pretty much what I had growing up was, berms, boas, a lot of red tails. Like back in the day, ball pythons were notorious for like not feeding. Like you couldn't get them to eat. So you would get, because people didn't know how to keep them, you'd get it and you'd put it in a cage with, freaking all out in the open, and they just never felt comfortable, and they just had a really bad reputation for not feeding, and it was only because people weren't keeping them correctly.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the unfortunate thing. It's like, I mean, at least nowadays there's so many different outlets on getting, advice and help, where it's like you just literally have to be hard-headed if you can't establish something, if if you have the research in front of you. But I mean, back in the day, shoot, like not even that long ago, what, 10 years ago, research was, I mean, information on how to get certain things dialed in was like, I mean, those are like secrets back in the day, I'm assuming, right? Like you got to know the right people to, you know what I mean? Because I remember I had somebody on my other channel, and they were telling me how they got misled for like 2-3 years. And it was a complete fail after fail after fail, because they're listening to what this one person's saying, but it wasn't working. So
Sure.
I mean, what have you had any? I mean, you've always been in good hands, from what it seems like, right? You've always had the right kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, I've also I've also tried to educate myself as far as reading and reading books or like whatever. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't into sports. I wasn't like that's like reptiles was what I was into. So instead of playing playing soccer or playing football, I was like the geeky kid reading books about snakes in my room, and having a 20 snakes in my bedroom.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you can easily get bad information. Kind of what got me, like right before I started, the collection that I have now, right when I got out of school, I was just flipping through the channels one night, and I saw on National Geographic, they had this special, you can probably still look it up on YouTube, I'm sure. It's called A Passion for Pythons, and it was Dave and Tracy Barker. And
wow.
It was like a 15-minute segment on Dave and Tracy Barker on National Geographic. And you could go in there, and they showed like, what they were working with at the time. And they had like, they showed green trees and, blackheads and like, womas and just stuff that, like I was like, holy crap, man, I had no idea that you could have a black-headed python,
Right.
And then like the whole like backstory to the passion for pythons is them breeding retics. And at the time, I guess like tigers or super tigers were like kind of the biggest, like the coolest new morph that you could have.
Yeah.
And it showed them like cutting open a clutch of super tigers, and I didn't even know that you could breed snakes in captivity at that time. So I saw that, and I was like, holy shit, man, this is like unbelievable. Like, where have I been? Like, how have I missed all this?
Yeah.
And,
just like,
just seeing that made me, here we are.
yeah, man. And here we are now. It's crazy how much has changed. We had Bill Brandt talking about like the transition as far as like how much information's out there now compared to what it was back in the day. And you can't get, I mean, there's no better time to get into this hobby, no matter what you want to do, because you could go far with it because you got people who've been doing it for so long. And, for the most part, some people are willing to give other people the time of day and help them out. And I think that's awesome. I think that's what it's all about. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, the flip side to that is that there's also, bad information out there now, there's a lot more information, but it's a lot of stuff to sift through. and a lot of, you know, incorrect or bad information that you've got to sift through as well, you know, to get to the good stuff.
Yep. I mean, that's the name of the game. Now, you have any kids or anything, Marshall?
Yeah, I have 2 kids, Maddox and Mia. They're 13 and almost 10.
13 and 10, pretty close in age. How do they like the animals?
They just think it's normal, you know.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah, they just think it's normal. You know, obviously I've had them since before they were born, and you know, this room has pretty much looked the same ever since they were little kids. So
right.
They just, you know, they just think it's, you know, it's a normal thing. I remember when I haven't like really tried to, you know, I try to not make them do snake chores. Yeah, because when I was a kid, my dad was big into horses, you know.
Oh,
and,
shit.
And I, you know, I was the stable boy. Like I didn't have a choice. Like those were my chores.
Is your back okay? Dude.
So it just made me hate horses. So now, like, I don't want, you know, like if they're into it, they can come down and hang out. But like, I try not to, you know, I don't make them don't make them do anything, you know.
I think I don't hate ostriches, but I went to my uncle had this crazy farm back east, and one of these, I was like 13, and I was like, Mom, I want to go work there. She's like, Are you sure? I was like, yes, I want to go work there. And so he was like, what's up, man? He was like, all right, just follow me. And then he takes me into this damn barn and like where he houses like 16 ostriches. So he's like, all right, help me get them out. And I'm like, no. They're like, dude, they're like fucking prehistoric. My heart's racing, but I'm also thinking it's cool. But as soon as they all leave, he hands me a shovel and he's like, all right, start scraping. And all their it was like hard shit to concrete, and it wasn't coming off. And like, I remember like an hour in, I'm sweating balls. And I haven't even like, I haven't gotten like a 5x5 square done yet. Like there was this, I remember I threw down the shovel and I just started walking around his farm. I started looking at all the animals, and he's like, "Did you get any work done?" I was like, "Yeah, for a good 6 hours." But really, I was just looking at all the animals, and he never brought me back ever again to work. I was just a visitor from there moving forward, man. But I know what you mean, man. Hard work, especially at a young age. You're like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, no.
Yeah. Like I said, it just made me hate them, you know. So, but you know, ostriches would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'd like to have a place where I could have just like an emu or a couple of emus or just running around. I've always, you know, that's kind of been a.
Does Rock have those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got to see them.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Jeff Schrock, he's an old-time rodent guy. He has a facility in Florida. He keeps a lot of cool like mammals and birds. He has some big emus outside.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, man. Just to have those like roaming around your yard, you know.
They're tall.
They're fucking bitching. You know, also another thing I really want, but like my wife won't allow it because she knows I'll piss the neighbors off. But I want peacocks. I love peacocks, dude. I want to see them on my roof randomly and shit. I just don't want them to leave the property. But I heard they just walk or they roam and they just know where to stay. Like they know, like they'll venture off, but they won't like leave. They'll kind of stay on the type of thing. I don't know. It's awesome. I remember just hearing them all over my uncle's farm, and that's what kind of reminded me of like an exotic fucking type style farm, is hearing a peacock scream and seeing it with its. You know what I mean? It just reminded me going to the zoo all the time. You saw those walking around the zoo all the damn time. So
yeah, showing out.
Albinos, they have albino peacocks. You know, they have some crazy looking peacocks. You know, we could also maybe keep raptors. Jason Holbrook's talking about raptors as well. Prehistoric animals, maybe. I don't know. Let's talk about maybe some animals you don't keep that you possibly might be interested in keeping. Do you have any like mind, like, you know, is there any species out there that you don't keep that you're maybe thinking someday maybe, or are you kind of just closed off, you got what you want and it is what it is?
Nah, man, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd like some, you know, used to be into tortoises. I had a really nice collection of them. Actually, I wish I still had them now because I don't think I'd ever be able to get them back again. But so Madagascar spider tortoises and some Indian stars. I'd like to be able to, you know, have a place where I could have a outdoor space big enough to keep them outside. That would be really cool. dwarf monitors I've always liked. Like big monitors kind of freak me out a little bit, like just because of how, just because of how bad they can fuck you up if they, just with like a little simple mistake,
lose a limb
yeah.
and a finger or something.
Yeah, exactly. So the big ones, I'm like, they're cool. I like them. It's cool that other people keep them, but I couldn't do it myself. But like dwarf monitors, like Kimberly Rocks and, even red Ackies have been kind of, on my kind of want list for a while. Spotted turtles is something that I used to have, that I wish I still had. But at some point, I had all this stuff, dart frogs. I did dart frogs for a couple years, and produced a couple of, I don't know what you call it, spawns and dart frogs or whatever. But like once I started having kids, time got more limited. So,
I'm there right now.
Had to focus in.
100%. What about Timors? You like Timor pythons?
Yes, I do. I've heard that they're really messy though, kind of like retics.
Oh yeah,
dude. So that's why I'm super proud. I keep a group of 7. I've been keeping them for like about 3 years now, and I literally keep track and document how many times I take them out, and I don't have any muskers now. Can you believe it? All chilling.
I don't believe
that's cool.
What?
I don't believe you.
What do we got on? Okay, we'll take care of this after the session. Well,
Okay.
You got some snakes I want, so we'll bet this after this. Okay.
Mine poops all over me every single time.
Listen, you don't, because you're not there all the time. Timors every day of my life. Up and I go to my Timors. I feed them breakfast. I take them out for walks. No, the thing is, I'm obsessed with Timors.
Too?
Excuse me? What did you just say, Desiree?
I said, do you name them too?
I don't actually. I listen. I understand the naming thing's a little far fetched. I get it, and I also was like, wow, if I had kids, that'd be my excuse why I can name all of them. But really, come on.
I'm just messing with you.
Timor 1, Timor 2, Timor 3.
Exactly.
No, I'm dead serious though, guys. I have Timors that are all like most of them are sub-adults. I have maybe two adults, and I handle them for at least 10-15 minutes, and I don't have any musk. I promise.
Yep.
I could believe it. I'll prove it.
I like those, and I also like the head scales on those are just amazing on the Timors.
Historic. And
I've also had ringed pythons, and they're kind of the same way, man. They're just messy as hell. They just shit like every day, and they smear it all over the cage. It's like I'm not trying to deal with all that if I can help it,
Ring pythons are so sick as babies, man. They look like out of a Halloween book like that. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. And as adults, they're pretty cool too. They have a really very super iridescent. They don't have like the bright orange. It kind of fades out, but the iridescence is really nice on them.
Yeah, for sure. Your social media marketing type stuff. I mean, you're not really too heavy with posting stories and maximizing what's all out there for social media, right? Like you don't do live, you know what I mean?
I posted a story on my not my Herp Instagram, but just like my normal Instagram the other day for the first time. I don't know how to use it, so I'm gonna try to practice on my because I don't want to just like I don't want it to be bad. Like put something out there that's not that's no good. So I need to learn how to use it all on my non-Herp account so I can get figure out how it works, and then maybe I've thought about doing some stuff on the Red Mountain Herp account.
Cool, man.
Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of chondro video content out there.
Not like yours. How it could be. I'm telling you right now. And really not. Period. I'm telling you, because chondro people are snobs. They don't want to put shit out there. They're like, nope. This is what I've learned. Nope. You got to have animals die on you for you to find this out. Sorry. Nope. Figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah. There's there's definitely a learning curve, but there's enough information out there, man. People can people can figure it out if they really want to. You know, there was less information out there when I was trying to do it. You know.
Yep.
If you really, it's funny how you said that. If they really want to, they could, and you could figure anything out if you really want to.
Right.
Fucking just got to do it. Just got to want to do it.
That's right.
I mean, it's the only thing that kind of bugs me, and not that, you know, a lot of things do bug me, but this one in particular is how people come over and like they want information on. Wow, now I sound like a chondro guy. This sucks. But hey, man, how many days did you do that? How many days did you do that? And it's like, you know what I mean? It's almost overwhelming, especially when you never talked to this person before. And, you know, they're just, you know, some people don't even follow you and they're asking all these damn questions. And it's like, dude, the fuck? Like,
yeah,
I'm about to buy my first chondro ever and I need to know these facts right now. Like, fuck no. That's what I'm kind of like.
You're an expert now. You got one clutch, so now you're an expert. That's how this game is.
Yeah.
Desiree.
Dude, I did it all the time, and like we collected. Like I think we bred maybe 3 clutches ever, and I lost females that were egg bound from it. And I mean, well, with Cody we did more, but like on our own. And yeah, everyone just thinks I'm this chondro breeding expert, and
I will never claim to be an expert in anything. Yeah, especially with keeping animals. You're not Mother Nature. You don't know anything. You don't know everything these animals can do. It's you know, I taught even Bill Brandt was like saying, fucking like how shit still happens, and he's like, what the hell's that? You know what I mean? He's been doing it since the 60s. Like that's gnarly. Like come on, like
yeah.
If he's not saying he's an expert, then nobody can ever call themselves an expert. Almost It's kind of like just know your place. You know what I mean? So
dude, I bought all Bill's chondros. Like he had the whole he had a whole group from the Mac line, and he's trying to get rid of them. So we drove down there and just bought like 30 chondros, and I'm down there bagging them all. And he's like, "You're really good at that." He's like learning all this stuff from me, and I'm just like pulling them off their perches while they're in the bag, and then pulling the perch out. And he's like, "Oh wow, that's a great technique." And I'm like, "You're Bill Brandt, and you're telling me this?" Like I'm dying over here. It's pretty cool.
But there's also back in your mind, you're like, hey, I'm doing it. Bill Brandt liked me.
He did. Yeah, that was cool.
So other than Rico, Marcial, who are some good inspirations to you, man? Who are some people currently, or you know, some people that you have good relationships that you kind of like, you know, feed off each other's energy, and you guys are kind of
sure. Like, yeah, I mean, like for me, Eugene Bissett was a huge one. You know, he was really the first person that I met when I first got into chondros. Trooper obviously is a big inspiration. You know, as far as people that are, you know, kind of out there now, I've been friends with Gary Scavino for a long time. He you know, he keeps a kind of like me in that he keeps a pretty good variety of stuff. You know, Bill Stiegel with Phoenix Herp.
Bill,
yeah.
Shout out to Bill. Bill's a huge support on this channel. We're gonna get him on here soon, right, guys?
Yeah. He's got a really cool, varied collection, and you know, obviously Dave D and John Irby, and you know, these are all people that I've known for a long time, and you know, they're all doing really cool stuff, you know, pushing the envelope with whatever their, you know, kind of their specialty project is. You know, Dave D's got the most a crazy collection I've ever seen. You know,
you said Dave D?
Yeah,
Dave D. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about Carpondros?
You know, they're cool. They look cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily have cage space for them, you know. I mean, you know,
right?
That's what it comes down to, right? Yeah, Bill's got them.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw one was at his place.
Yeah, they're cool. I don't mind, you know, a lot of the hybrids are cool, you know. But there's other stuff, you know. I had carpet pythons for a little while. I had some jungles and some, I think they were like high percentage diamond jungle crosses back in the day, and I never had luck with them. Like I couldn't get them to breed. I couldn't get them to, you know, I don't know. I just had shitty luck with them, so it made me get out of them.
Yeah.
But I like carpets, like carpondros.
Yeah, those are
You
so
know.
sick. Selective scales. What's his Tony Jerome? I think his name is.
Yeah.
You know who Tony Jerome is by chance, Marshall?
I don't know.
He's really good at breeding chondros and jungle carpets, and dude, I mean, you've seen him, right, Steven? They're they're pretty
He
crazy.
has some awesome stuff.
Yeah, he has one that's like a super dark green. Like, I'll just show you real quick so you can see it. But, I don't know. I've been fascinated by that project as well. Let me see. Let me see. Have you ever kept any kind of carpets?
Yeah. I've kept. They've all been high percentage diamond crosses.
Oh wow.
That's pretty much the only kind that I've had. They were all either like 50-50 jungle.
So check that out. You see the green on that?
That's
Yeah.
so sick.
Pretty
Oh
nuts.
yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's one of those. That's a carpondro, right?
Yeah, I kind of want that.
Yep. I mean, just look at the face, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That looks like a chondro face.
Yeah, everything chondro
I love
influence,
the spots.
but it has like a slimmer. It's still, I don't know. I would have to probably see it in person. Okay, but the head's all chondro for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
That's so cool.
What about Bolin's? You ever interact with the Bolin's python? That's kind of one of my species, dreamless species. I always ask my guests if any of them had any kind of experience with them.
I mean, I've had thoughts of having them and trying to breed them,
Right.
But they're big. They get so big, and it's kind of like a retic. It's not in the same ballpark as a big retic, but it's it's a big snake, and it's just it's not like when it's time to clean the cage, it takes you 20 minutes to clean it instead of 3 minutes. So it's they're big.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to have the time to put in for them, like you said.
Yeah, that's right.
Work.
It's not like you're gonna, and probably most people that have them, they probably have a pair or a trio. It's not like they have 30 of them. I've been amazed though at like how expensive they are now. Like I remember maybe 5-6 years ago, it seems like they were $1,500 a piece for babies, and now they're like $5,000 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, there's captain born animals displayed at shows for like $15,000 for the pair.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, captive born.
Right.
Prove it. Yeah. So, I think that's hopefully that could change, because I don't know. Well, we had Nerd on here. We had Kevin McCurley on here a couple weeks ago, and he's like, I got it dialed in. He's claiming that he has the Bolin's dialed in on the breeding and just stand by, and that we're supposed to see some really cool things this year with them. So I'm excited for that.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, if there's anybody that could do it, I'm sure he's definitely one of them. I've known him he's a trip, man. I've known him for a long time. He probably doesn't remember me, but like back when I was living in Connecticut, which would have been in like the late 90s, I remember going to his facility at the time and just looking around and just being like, amazed at what was going on. It was cool.
Speaking of cool, do you happen to know this gentleman by the name of Ryan Wolleson?
Yeah, I do. What's up, Ryan?
Ryan has blessed us with his guest appearance as well. Led us to Ed Marino, which, God damn, I still dream about that episode.
Yeah, I just watched some of that. I guess
that was
last
our
night.
first, like snake show, like showing
the
of
tour of the
snakes.
room.
So feel free to up him. If you want.
I don't think I can't hang with Ed.
So I mean, we're about an hour and 45 into this, man. I mean, it's been an awesome time having you on here, Marshall. One thing I always ask any guest we have, just because of with the experience and knowledge and the kind of impact you have on the hobby, if anybody that's starting into this is looking to get into any species, ball pythons, whatever, and they're really for it, what's the good advice you have for them? What kind of good first stepping stone do you think is, the right direction to take? Or if you have any advice for them, period, for the younger youth in here, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say just be patient is the first thing. Take it slow. Don't get in over your head. Like don't go from having no snakes to 10 snakes in like a few weeks or a few months. Read all this, read as much as you can.
Definitely.
Research as much as you can. Try to have as try to know as much as possible. Talk to people. Only buy captive bred. That's a big rule for me. It's always has been. Only buy captive bred, no matter what it is. So yeah, just take it slow and don't overextend yourself financially or time wise with your lifestyle,
Yep.
because it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of time, and if you don't like, the main thing is don't get in over your head, because then what usually ends up happening is the animals end up suffering, because people don't know how to take care of them or don't have the time to properly take care of them. So yeah, that'd be kind of the deal. I would say, like, my whole strategy when I started was, all right, I'm going to invest, X amount of money, and I'm not going to spend anything else until it starts paying for itself. And once that happened, like after the first, I think I said earlier, I think I started off with like 10 neonates over the course of a year or so, or a year or two, and then didn't buy anything else until those animals started reproducing. And the Red Mountain Herp business has been profitable every year since then. Some years obviously are better than others, but as far as like being able to do it and have it pay for itself, and you can do it. You just got to be patient, and not overdo it.
Yeah.
Not especially until you know what you're getting into. Like you can't go from having no snakes to 50 snakes in the course of a year or two. It's just it's a lot of work,
Unless you're just wanting to keep all ball pythons, and fuck it, you'll be all right.
Yeah, even still, man, like ball pythons, if you're talking adults, ball pythons are way more high maintenance than chondros. As far as in emeralds, as far as just keeping them. They're feed them more, they poop more, they they're easier to keep, but it's more work.
They don't even look at you. They want no eye contact with you. Fucking chondros will look you straight in the eye. What do you want? You know what I mean? They'll at least give you some sort of interaction. Ball python's like a goth kid who just stays in his room all day and just fucking plays weird music and just doesn't want to have any interaction with any humans. Like, no way. Son. Oh man. Hey man, this has been awesome, Marshall. Are you down for a round 2? We want to do a round 2 with you, man. We really do. Are you cool with that? Maybe we could set that up.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we didn't get enough. We didn't get enough time with you, but we got to wrap things up. And we'll be in touch about what we got to do to get you on for round 2, man. But Marshall, this has been a fucking amazing time. I appreciate everything. I appreciate what you've been doing with the hobby, and I'm a huge fan. And I want to say, push what you got to do to get the Red Mountain Herps things going on Instagram, man. If you want me to help you with the stories or tell you how to do things, I got you, dude. I can tell you right now, you got going on. It has to be put out there, dude, because people got to be seeing it, man. I mean, there's just people out there that just haven't been in here long enough who've come across you yet. But I guarantee you, maybe if you start putting yourself out there a little bit more, dude, I'm telling you, man, that's just my opinion. But that's to each their own. If you want to, you don't need to.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, cool, man. Marcial Mendez, everybody.
It's been fun.
Thanks, Marshall.
It's been fun.
You've been the man, bro. I'll put all your
thank you guys.
I'm gonna put all your info in the information description below. So make sure you guys go follow my man Marcial. And you have a wonderful night, man. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
Night.
Thank you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Yep. Right on, Marcial Mendez.
Hell yeah.
Red Herps. Pretty awesome. Cool episode. Definitely round 2 worthy. That's all I could think about was like bringing him on again. But shout out to everybody in the comments.
In the Trap Talk one and talk about Ultramills. Your Ball Python podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if he's down for that as well. I just don't want to step on Steven's toes. You know, I can't be bringing the heat over to the Trap Talk where Steven gets mad. It's like picking up a scrub without his approval. So
never do that. God damn.
But yeah, guys, thanks for everybody who's tuning in. I think we have a back-to-back next week. Is that right? Yeah, we do.
Either that or the following. We're figuring
May 9th. Oh yeah, my bad. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Got back to back.
Back to back in 2 weeks. Stand by for that. We have some heat going on next week as well. So I appreciate it. Hey, listen, real quick. I'm going to say right now, all the people who fuck with us, all who's been tuning into the podcast, I appreciate you guys so much. You know, this is just something that we do because we admire it. We like helping people get information on stuff like this. I'm not looking to make a living out of this or anything. I'm just telling you right now, this does something to my life, to my soul. It makes me happy, and I appreciate everybody who tunes in. I appreciate my team over there, Steven and Desiree. Even when they make fun of me, I still love them. Tough love. It's like brother-sister relationship. It's all good. Except for I can't beat Steven up. He's too far away. Sucks.
Man, fucking trying.
Try to put these hands on me. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Holler at your boo. See you later. Oh, yeah. Hit me up for shirts. Don't forget, we got them. We're hot. And we got some new stuff coming out. Don't even trip. So see you guys next week.